Hello YouTube, my name is Fag. Welcome to my channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And here we go. It's called the NES Myths and Rumours about the Nintendo Entertainment System. NES means that. I don't know why that has spelled out, but whatever. Let's call it by big old words. So let's see what kind of myths and rumors they got, shall we? Kind of flush that mechanic nightmare fuel out of our mind, huh?
Check this shit out.
Over the years, there's been a lot that's been said about my beloved Nintendo Entertainment System. And I don't mean the classic characters and games that first appeared on the system, or the notorious levels of difficulty, or really anything about the design of the console itself, but more the myths and rumors surrounding it. There has been a lot of speculation about all kinds of topics that were passed around the schoolyards of the 80s and 90s before moving into the darkest depths of the internet forums, and even today, when our breadth of knowledge is as massive as it is, perpetually popping up in videos and social media for discussion. I've learned about a few that I haven't seen covered too extensively, so I thought I'd go ahead and put together a video about some of the rumors related to the OG Nintendo. We'll start with some of the more well-known unknowns, and then see if we can delve a little deeper into some of the corners of the NES library. Alright, let's get to it. Starting off, here's a classic schoolyard tale relating to Super Mario Bros. The biggest rumor surrounding this game was that if you time your jump perfectly, you can clear the flagpole. Like all kids at the time, I tried to do this every chance I had, but never even got close. And all of us had that one friend who lied about everything. And of course, they were the one who pulled this amazing feat off, but no one saw it at the time, and now their Nintendo mysteriously doesn't work. Well, turns out that yes, this is possible to do under very specific circumstances and certain levels. Most of them are exploiting some strange glitch where if you get a turtle to fall in a hole while simultaneously jumping to the top of the screen, it will then reappear at the bottom and meander its way to the end. This somehow lends you extra jumping abilities to free yourself from the pole oppression and finally give up your life.
Oh, I see what happened. Right, turtle was down there. But watch what happens when he jumps.
Free yourself.
See? What happened is when he jumped, the game rushes a hit on the turtle, and when you jump on something in Super Mario Brothers, it backs you back up. So mid-jump, when he's hitting the turtle, he's getting bounced over it. Yeah, that's just a glitch of the system, I guess. Or, I don't know they call it a glitch, would you? Hmm.
From the pole oppression and finally give up your life as a stripper. The only legit way to do this seems to be in stage 3-3, where if you manipulate these platforms perfectly, you will have just enough height to clear the top and run free forever like the good boy that you are. And I say all of this still as a skeptic, as I've tried all of this a lot and still cannot propel myself over it even once. So if you believe these various internet wizards, then yes, it's possible. Follow their lead and achieve your dreams. Sticking with the classics, let's move over to Metroid. The horniest myth of them all is about the ending of this game. Depending on how quickly you beat Metroid, you're treated to a variety of endings ranging from countdown
Oh, I remember this. This is probably the nude ending where you play the game nude, Sims nude. I remember people talking about this. Oh my god.
Samus before a game of hide and seek, to exercise influencer Samus pitching you her exclusive membership channel. If you're the simpiest of Metroid masters and can beat the game in under an hour, you'll get the Patreon exclusive. Hubba hubba. Finally, I get to see those sleeveless arms. But what if you could beat it faster than that? What if somehow you could make it through this lengthy and challenging maze of a game in, say, 15 minutes? What would happen? Would you get to see her toes? Yeah, there was always a rumor that if you beat Metroid even faster, you would be treated to Samus in her full naked glory. This is quite obviously not true, but thinking about it is so funny to me. Like Nintendo did this on purpose to trick people.
See, I remember that rumor. Pretend. What did I mean?
into playing it more. Once players discovered the second ending, they were for sure going to try and beat the game quicker, and once the articles of clothing began to get snatched away, that sexy end result would always seem attainable even if it was practically quite impossible. And in an era before the internet, thousands of pinup lads without an infinite source of information to turn to, but with a seemingly infinite amount of time to do anything, pursued this white whale with all the fury of Ahab. The other big myth from back in the day was, can you shoot the dog from Duck Hunt?
No, you cannot shoot a dog from Duck Hunt. I tried. I just
All
laugh
of
at
us
you.
who play Duck Hunt have experienced this frustration, where after many levels of you murking duck after duck, which your canine companion then gleefully holds up in approval, you will eventually miss your targets and get treated to the most bone-chilling laughter in all of gaming. And of course, your first compulsion is, oh yeah, eat lead, sucker! But then, nothing happens. Well, you can put Old Yeller down, but in different games than this. The Versus Arcade featured many of the iconic games we got on the NES, but in slightly different formats, including Duck Hunt. Here you alternate between the skeet shooting and duck stages, and in the foul section, the dog will...
There's really a hard game about Duck Hunt now? What is it? I want to know. I never heard that before. They made the light yellow hard, not a real gun.
will comically leap around the screen as you blast away. If you hit him, the round ends, and he rolls up with a lead cast and crutch like he slipped on a puddle and he's about to Better Call Saul that ass for damages. Also, damn dude, is that blackface? Not cool. But wait, there's more. Ye Old Dog makes another appearance as the balloon-popping moderator in the light gun-compatible Barker Bill's trick shooting. And yeah, if you time it right, you can blast this Cujo right in the face. Blow! Let's move on to a few myths related to the artwork found on the boxes and cartridge labels of NES games. Starting with Contra, which is a design I've always loved. Just two dudes and their alien sidekick, and everyone is staring off in a different direction like they're posing for an album cover. People eventually made the connection that these two beefcakes were supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, the two most popular action stars at the time, with what looks like Commando-era Arnold and Rambo 2-era Sly. And while that seems pretty clear in its intent, looking closer at the reference images, they appear to both be from stills of just Arnold, and furthermore, from the same film, Predator. Now I'm wishing they'd made Player 2 a Carl Weathers knockoff and included an 8-bit rendition of the greatest handshake of all time.
Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I don't have VR. I'm sorry. If I had a VR set, I'd play it. I don't have VR.
Konami must have loved this trope, as they used another Schwarzenegger movie as the reference for
Metal
Metal Gear,
Gear,
this time from a still of Michael Biehn from Terminator. And I mean, yeah, the posing of the model, the facial features, and most of the accessories are all the same. But there are enough differences here to make it a perfect stage in one of those spot the difference games you used to see at bars. Look, Snake's wearing fingerless gloves, 5,000 points! But Contra, Metal Gear, and their respective film references lead us to the true myth of the labels.
Hang on. Hey, I've already been inside a VR chat. But not in VR goggles. Oh man, I didn't even care. This was really hurting my back. I tell you guys, I broke the back of my chair the other day. I leaned back in too hard.
With Power Blades cover. I owned this game as a kid and never thought much of its human subject on the front, but yeah, it does bear a bit of a resemblance to the former governor of California. But, as many people chimed in to comment on a past review of this game and its sequel, that's not actually Arnold. And in fact, yes, this is true. The artist Michael Winterbauer, who also illustrated another childhood favorite of mine, Solstice, posed for the cover pic himself, which he then used as reference. Cool.
Wow, cool. The artist put himself in the artwork. Neat. Repent. You can repent, Aloha. Tell me to repent.
But here's what bugs me about this distinction. The character Nova is clearly modeled after Arnold. Just check out these cutscenes. The artist even says that he was instructed to design the cover to look like Terminator Schwarzenegger. So yeah, he didn't paint the portrait directly from a still of the pumping iron master like the Contra cover did, but the effect and intention is still the same. Make people buy this Arnold game even if he isn't in it. Let's
What, you want to join me in VR chat? I'm just teasing you.
stay in the same lane but shift gears a bit for a look at Mega Man. The cover for the OG Mega Man is notoriously one of the worst on the NES, and man is it a train wreck you cannot look away from. Looking like the movie sequel no one asked for, Tron 7, Midlife Crisis in Paradise. Mark Erickson, who illustrated the Mega Man 2 cover, says that this master
Try 7. Yeah, that Mega Man cover is not flattering for Mega Man at all, is it?
piece was painted as a rush job by a friend of the producer, Kaiji Inafune. All artistic ridiculousness aside, the detail that stands out the most is the gun. Why is Mega Man holding a gun when his arm is actually a cannon? Well, if the original was as rushed as it sounds, then I get it. Things were lost in translation. But what about Mega Man 2 then? He's still packing heat here, while his leg does the Tootsie Roll for extra street cred. Well, I met Mark at the Portland Retro Game Expo years ago, and he told me Mega Man 2's origin
I got a signed card. See that? That was neat.
story, which is that while he'd seen the in-game characters and was able to use them as reference, Mega Man himself was still described by the creators as shooting a gun. So yeah, even though it'd be hard to imagine a pistol from playing the game, I get it. If the client asks you for something in the design and doesn't give you any corrections, that's on them. How about one of the original myths, or rather collective agreements for problem solving, blowing on the cartridge? I have no idea how this trend got started or how it migrated across America like a virus, but it did. Everyone did this. Maybe it's because we used to blow the dust off records so they'd play better? I don't know. I don't ever remember doing that with VHS tapes or cassettes. Well, yeah, apparently not only is blowing on the cartridge not effective, it's actually detrimental to your game, as you're actually just adding moisture onto the connections and potentially rusting them more. I don't know. That's what the internet tells me. I haven't seen it myself. But personally, on a wholly unscientific, but still completely and irrefutably true level, blowing on the cartridges does work. Watch. Here's a game that will not play, fully giving us the brown screen of not today.
Now watch the blow magic. That's what happens when you know how to blow properly. Ladies, take notes.
And now, after a quick sensual massage, I put the cartridge back in and blam! Game works. Our child cells were right. Eat shit, science. I don't know about y'all, but I had a whole repertoire of moves I'd
Fate, that's how you blow right. I guess you say I'm an expert at that. I love classic games. You have to know how to blow. Repeat again.
employed to coax the NES into working, like the Jello mold jiggler, the inverted just the tip, and the classic Good Night, Sweet Prince. Another myth that's been echoed since the early 2000s gold rush of game collecting began is about one of the rarest NES games, Flintstone's Surprise at Dinosaur Peak. For the longest time, this was the most expensive non-stadium events title you could collect on the NES. Why?
Really? I didn't know
The
that.
easy answer is that it was released in 1994, 3 years after the Super Nintendo came out and stole the show, and thus maybe it wasn't as widely sought after on the 8-bit
So that's one of the last actual Nintendo games that were developed.
consoles soon to be put out to pasture. But there's tons of games from that late period, and while most are more expensive than usual for NES games, none are quite as pricey as
Yeah, that's top in development when the Super NES came out. I should go to church, dude. Joke's on you. I don't go to church. But yeah, it makes sense that games being developed right for a certain system, and they've just finished it for that system instead of port it over to the new one. That makes absolute sense.
Flintstones 2. Well, there's always been this persistent rumor that Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak was a Blockbuster exclusive, meaning you could only rent it there and maybe buy it years later when the NES was no longer on shelves and the stores needed to clear out their old inventory. Is this true? Probably not. I always joked that it was because my copy is so badly mangled that I assumed it had been passed around from house to house like the village bicycle of a game that it is. But in fact, the only evidence I've seen is one cartridge with the Blockbuster logo stickered on the back and a label with the word Flintstones on it. Feels like if this were really some promotional exercise, there would be some documentation somewhere. Some signage or coupon book with something like, and you can only get Flintstoned here at Blockbuster. Like I said before, the internet is full of wizards and they find that kind of stuff and share it everywhere, but nothing conclusive about Dino Peak. Does it matter? No, of course not. But for collectors, these are the little details that we love, the completely useless tidbits of information we absorb to try and magnify the importance or value of our obsession. Anyway, that's it for now. I tried to touch on stuff that I felt like I couldn't just easily throw into Google and get an answer, so hopefully some of this was new to you. Yes, you. I don't know. If y'all have suggestions for any NES related myths, put them in the comments and maybe we'll come back to this for a part 2 at some point. Massive shout out to my man Grant Meacham, who recently joined my Patreon and for whom I've doodled this sign. He mentioned he loves Star Tropics, and so finally I have a chance to showcase my favorite sprite of them all, Pork Pixel. Yeah! Thanks, Grant. You're awesome. If you want to enter the halls of Olympus with Grant and the other gods, head on over to patreon.com/BigOleWords, check out the bonus stuff I'm posting there, and consider joining the cause. Other than that, you guys rule. Thanks for watching.
Big Ole Words, thank you for such a informative video. I enjoyed your video so much. Give me a like.